Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us Across the Fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Longtime viewers will recall that UVM Extension used to be known as the UVM Extension Service. The name may have changed, but the mission of Extension remains the same: to serve the people of Vermont. This active service comes in many forms: a 4-H club, technical assistance with equipment or soil, and research into best management practices. The goal is to bring the intellectual rigor of the university and apply it to the practical needs of Vermonters. A new program at UVM takes this spirit of extension and uses it to provide undergraduates with experience, knowledge, and life skills. Keith Silva has our story.
Have you seen any adults at all?
I've seen like a couple adults.
There's no place Charlotte Smith would rather be this summer than in Vermont, looking for bugs.
You see something new every day, and I learn about what a new bug is, like every time I scout.
Whoa.
Along with raising her entomological acumen, Smith has figured out a few things about herself.
Being outside, like, it made me realize, like, I don't think I ever want to have an office job. I just want to, like, look at bugs on farms. I'm learning, and I'm also helping people, and it's just like seeing how like small things, like looking at a plant, can like make a difference for farmers. There you go. Look out.
This scouting work is part of a first-of-its-kind program at the University of Vermont called the Agroecology Extension Summer Research Fellowship, AX Fellowship for short. It's a 10-week program, and participants are paid a stipend. The effort is part of the Agroecology and Livelihoods Collaborative, a partnership between UVM Extension and the Plant and Soil Science Department. Scott Lewins serves as the AX Fellowship's extension coordinator.
There's teaching, there's research, and there's extension. So the AX Fellowship is it is the intersection of those three things. It's students getting learning opportunities, doing research, while also providing that farmer-friendly outreach at the end.
Vic Izzo is the other half of the AX Fellowship's leadership team. He works as the program's educational coordinator.
What this AX Fellowship allows us to do, it's not just about being an intern, right? You can go out and work as an internship during the summer. This gives us, because we have a whole cohort of students, where each week the students get to learn skills, agriculture, working with farmers, relationship building, all that, but then they also get the opportunity to reflect with a cohort of other students where they can actually kind of integrate that knowledge, and then finally at the end they have to give a deliverable that allows them to perhaps share with their families, share with other academics, share with farmers. And so this process, really in a nutshell, is kind of what extension agents do.
When it comes to agriculture, the focus is production and yields. It kind of has to be. Agroecology attempts to put less eggs in that basket, so to speak, and look at the bigger picture. Izzo and Lewins teach students to take a systems approach, from the root to the fruit, and from the farmer to the consumer, and everywhere in between.
I think there's a tendency for researchers to think up cool ideas and questions based upon agriculture in these bubbles, even with undergraduate or graduate students, with no interaction with farmers. We are directly going to farmers, as opposed to thinking in my box. And I can think of a lot of good questions. They have the best questions because they're out on the ground and farming.
There haven't really been many eggs on this side.
The students scout for pests and plant diseases on several sites throughout the state. Their findings go into a database for the Vermont Vegetable and Berry Growers Association. Growers then make management decisions based on this data.
It's not like just doing a book report, right, where they find a bunch of information and then report it out, right? This is usable information that, in fact, the Vermont Vegetable and Berry Growers Association is funding part of that because it was so valuable, such valuable information for them.
I feel like you don't really ever see the eggs on the top.
This kind of work is known as applied research. The direct benefit to farmers is why Ashley Pearson signed on to the program.
The agroecology is so broad, so I was really excited to experience it firsthand and get more experience out in the field and connecting with farmers. Building relationships, I think, for anything is super important. So to be able to be in the field with these farmers daily has been super amazing. And talking with them and them, you know, just really getting into what they do and having them explain what their day-to-day life is like is really cool.
The ACTS Fellowship provides students with knowledge that can't be learned in a classroom.
In the classroom, it's a lot of showing pictures and just like telling. Experiencing is so much different because you really can't capture everything in a picture or even a video. So yeah, being out in the field is just, it's super cool because you're really learning and you can repeat it and do it again and teach other people. So yeah, it's way different than being in the classroom.
As a student, I think sometimes, especially undergrad, people would be like, oh, like just reach out to your faculty about getting involved in research. But then you need to have prior research experience. So this is kind of a way to get research experience and like feel more comfortable talking to teachers that you probably wouldn't have felt like going up to at the end of a 3-hour, like 200-person lecture class. I think like experiencing it and like just like doing it makes you appreciate like what it actually means, because you can just like make notes and like kind of understand why things are important, but like actually being a part of the process is like how I learn.
These are experiential learning opportunities, you know, to use jargon, high impact learning opportunities that students just want to do. You can take a class online or in person, you can sit in a classroom, but I hear repeatedly from students and academics also say what students really crave is these experiential learning opportunities.
Agroecology is the study of relationships between people, places, and things. What students experience in this program is what binds all those relationships together: trust.
If you don't have a relationship of trust, adoption of anything that you're testing is never going to happen. And the same thing with students. If you don't have a relationship of trust, you're never going to get them to hear you. So education is built on trust, adoption's built on trust. I basically think that everything's built on relationships.
This experience marks a time in Smith's life that she'll learn from and always remember.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of nymphs there. I never thought that I'd like be so interested in bugs or like want to even explore that in the future. And now that's something that I think is really cool. I just learned a lot, and I think I'll always like remember this summer and like, oh, like summer of 2021, I just was outside in Vermont visiting beautiful farms and making cool connections and learning a lot.
Scouting for bugs with colleagues to help farmers grow food to feed the community. That's what you call fellowship. In Burlington, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
Thank you, Keith. What a great way to spend the summer. So joining me via Zoom to talk some more about Agroecology Extension Summer Research Fellowship is Scott Lewis, the Extension Coordinator of the program. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you.
So the activities taking place this summer are serving as a pilot for what you've got planned. Talk about what's next for the ACTS Fellowship.
Yeah, sure. As you mentioned, it's a joint effort between Extension and the Agroecology and Livelihoods Collaborative. That's a community of practice that includes students and faculty, staff, farmers, folks from all over the community. And this idea really started a few years ago, talking with Vern Grubinger, a friend of the ALC, where he said, you know, wouldn't it be great if students could help by answering simple questions that farmers have? And so the last several years, we thought about the best way that we could structure this type of opportunity. And, you know, we started out thinking it might be a good, like a course where students could come and register for a 3-credit course in the summer. And we really decided to move away from that model and towards paying students for their work. So Karen Nordstrom, Vic Izzo, and I, with help from folks throughout the university, applied for and were successful in getting a USDA training and workforce development grant. So what that's going to do is that's going to fund us to bring top-notch students from around the country to Vermont in the summer to work with, do research and outreach with UVM Extension folks for the next 4 years.
Wow.
Really to enable us to train the next generation of extension researchers and outreach professionals.
Brilliant. And agroecology is really a wide-ranging field of study. It covers so much. And I know from reading other things that they also have real interest in issues of food justice and racial equality. How does that factor into your teaching?
Yeah, justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, they're at the core of the work that many of us do in extension and also in the ALC. And what we do is we address issues of food justice and racial equity throughout the food system. So we were writing the proposal to fund this program during the racial reckoning following the murders of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. It really changed the way that I and many others view our work. And really, strong mentorship is one of the greatest indicators of academic success, particularly for students of color and other underrepresented students. And so this program really gets to that by providing strong mentorship to students.
Great. And students usually work in teams of two. Why is that dynamic effective when it comes to the work that they're doing and what they're learning?
Yeah, that structure was really important to us going into the program. You know, if you think about the work that you do, the work that I do, we all work in groups, groups of various sizes. And in this situation where we have undergraduates sometimes thrown into projects that they have little or no experience in, and having a peer to go through that experience with, to bounce ideas off of, was important to us. And you know, after one season of running this and seeing how successful and that cohort model has been, really confirmed our suspicion that having that structure was important.
Fantastic. Scott, we're really out of time. I do want to address the fact that they also connect with their teachers, which is wonderful, and get over that intimidation that they might have. So there's that connection with farmers and teachers, and it's a wonderful, wonderful program. Thank you so much for your insights, and good luck with this program.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.